this is Sebastian for the Metal Gods Meltdown, and I'm joined by
John Bush of Armored Saint.
Congratulations on the new live album Carpe Noctum. You can shut your eyes and be there in the crowd. You really can. How pleased are you with the finished album?
Well, thanks. We think it's a really cool way to catch Armored Saint if you didn't actually see us live, so you can put on headphones, like you said, and imagine you're in the show at Wacken in Germany.
You recorded the album at Wacken and Aschaffenburg in Germany. Was it an easy decision to choose those festival dates?
Aschaffenburg is a club show. It's a small club outside of Frankfurt. And then the Wacken is quite the opposite of a club show. It's I guess it's a club show with about 70,000 people. We played in a tent. That show was recorded in one of the tents. It held maybe like 6,000 to 8,000 people, but it was still pretty awesome. And it's always a big, great festival to be part of.
You released the live album Saints Will Conquer in 1989. How does Carpe Noctum compare?
Well, it sounds a lot better for one. Saints Will Conquer was cool because it was very raw. At that point we were touring for Raising Fear, which was when we were a four-piece band. Obviously it has Dave Pritchard on it, which is really great because Dave's no longer with us. But, this record just sounds like it was a live record of Armored Saint 2017. So it just sounds like the way we do live, and production, which was primarily done by Joey, and the mixing, it just sounds really excellent. So it just sounds a little bit better than Saints Will Conquer does.
You'll be playing some dates in the UK in March. Are you hopeful to return to the UK and try and do a more extensive tour at some stage?
Well, the place that we played in the last couple of times that we've been in Britain has been London, and I know that some fans have kind of complained about that, so that's why we've added a couple shows around the Hammerfest that we're doing in Wales. So we're playing Manchester and we're playing Birmingham, and these are two cities that we've never been to in the history of the band, so it's exciting to do those places. Obviously, I played them many times with Anthrax, and Birmingham is a city that Judas Priest and Black Sabbath are from. So we're honored to be playing there, and excited about doing some shows that are different than playing London or anywhere else in Britain. But I think it should be a lot of fun. We're also excited about playing in Wales, which we've never been to in the history of the band. So that should be fun too.
Armored Saint are as relevant as they were in the early 80s. What do you put this down to?
Well, I think that we've had a lot of longevity through the years and been able to keep it going. And even then, when there was a period of time when I was out of the band and Anthrax, I think Armored Saints always was in a lot of people's hearts and soul. And there's always been this strong commitment and loyalty from our fan base that kept it going even when I was not in the group. As I said, and in the early days, I think that was the thing that we really wanted to try to achieve, is just being around for a long time, because you can't really determine what kind of success you're going to have as far as financially or how many records you're going to sell. You can only control what you can, and that's the quality of the music and the quality of your performances. So that's the thing that we strive to do, and be around for a long time, not be somebody who makes two records as a band for 5 years and then is done. So we started in 1983 making our first EP, and we just released a live record in 2017, which is crazy to me. So I guess we've done pretty well as far as sticking around.
You've had an amazing career and still doing what you love in 2017. Do you think you will ever release an autobiography?
It'd be fun to do some kind of book or some kind of story about the band's life. I haven't really thought about that in any great detail. I haven't really attempted to do that yet, but I think the Armored Saint story is pretty exciting if you think about just everything that we went through in the early days, being part of the LA metal scene in the early 80s, when it was having all the bands come out of Los Angeles, even though a lot of them were different style of group than we were, but we were still part of the LA scene in the early 80s. my years in Anthrax, making 3 records on a major label in the early 80s, which was pretty astonishing considering that we didn't really have the biggest success in the world, so that was an accomplishment. Losing Dave Pritchard, one of our best friends and guitar player to Curry, coming back, making Simple Salvation after that was quite an accomplishment. And then being here and releasing something like When Hands Down, which we think is maybe our best record of our career, still, 30 years later, I don't know. There's a big story there. So, book, I don't know, maybe one day.
Shit was
I'm probably about 4 years younger than you. So I sort of like got into metal 1981, 82. And so I can remember the EP from Armored Saint. God, it was a long time ago.
We never really toured England properly. You know, the first time we actually ever came to play in Britain was in 1991 at the Marquee, and that was 8 years after our EP came out. So we kind of have to make up for lost time in the UK, and we're going to try to do that on this upcoming run.
I hope so, but don't forget Scotland. There's Edinburgh and Glasgow to look at as well.
I love Scotland. You know, some of the best shows I've ever had in my life were with Anthrax in Glasgow. So I never forget about Scotland.
That'd be great if you can come back with Armored Saint sometime up to there. Armored Saint were formed in the early 80s. Those were hedonistic days to be in a heavy metal band, as a band and a fan. Can you tell me your most outrageous story from those days that comes to mind straight away?
We were at this hotel in Los Angeles called the Bonaventure on New Year's, and I think the Metallica guys were there, and some people were dropping bottles out of the hotel windows, which are probably not the smartest thing to do, because probably could have killed somebody, but it was quite crazy, and it was a New Year's Eve, so I'm sure a lot of people were extremely intoxicated. So that was a crazy memory. Playing many shows at the Troubadour, which was one of our fondest places to play in Los Angeles. We've always had great gigs there. The security, they knew that every time we'd come, we were going to try to sneak in a bottle of like Jack Daniels or some kind of liquor, and they would always search our bags, but they had kind of this love-hate relationship with us, and because we were always drawing a lot of people there. But I wish we could actually go back to play the Troubadour and do maybe like a live video from there, because we had a lot of great performances there. I love that. It's one of my favorite clubs. We played there with Rad, we played there with Wasp. We had some legendary shows back in the day there, and unfortunately a lot of people that play there were mostly like alternative or almost like folk bands, so I don't know if it's the appropriate place to play anymore. So I mean, the stories are endless.
Which album are you most proud of from your time with Anthrax, and why?
I love all the records I made with Anthrax. I think they were just all different. Some were maybe a little more consistent than others, but I think Sound of One is, set it all in motion. It was a great record. 1993, everything was kind of changing in metal, and we were right there, a big part of it, and it was showing the band evolving. It was awesome. To We've Come For You All, which is, I think, the last record I made, and I think that was a really powerful and diverse record. So, like I said, I'm happy with all the records I've made in Anthrax and all my time there, and I think we had, they exposed me in front of a lot of fans, toured around the world. Even though it was kind of like the decline of metal and the rise of the grunge movement, I think that we still played a lot of shows throughout the world that were awesome, and I have excellent memories of it.
Everything is perfect. Everything
You could have been the vocalist for Metallica. Do you ever sit back and think, if only, from time to time?
No, never. In all honesty, it just wasn't my destiny to do that. I was, of course, honored to be considered for that, but I can't imagine anyone singing Metallica songs other than James, except for one live performance that I did a few years back at the Fillmore when they did the 30th anniversary shows, which was a pretty awesome night and a great memory for me. But no, I don't think it was meant for me to. That was never meant to be my job. It was just not my destiny to do that. I always say it would probably be a bigger mistake to not join Anthrax, because that was years later, and Armored Saint had already established a lot, and I think we were ready for a break in the history of the band, and so I can't. That kind of stuff doesn't keep me up at night. I don't really think about it too much, other than the fact that I'm honored to have been thought of to do it, but. Like I said, it wasn't my fate.
If I was new to heavy metal, which 2 albums would you give to me to listen to?
Oh boy. How about Judas Priest, Unleashed in the East, and I'll throw a weird curveball. How about Queens of the Stone Age, Rated R? It'd be totally different from Priest.
Are you glad you started out back then rather than now in this digital age?
Well, it would be hard to have a new band these days, it seems like. Everything's, so much has changed in the music business. Obviously, record sales not doing what they used to do, and, there's probably more bands than there ever was, so it's more competitive. And, luckily for a band like Armored Saint and a lot of older bands, there's still a lot of desire to see groups like us, and a lot of interest in the bands who were the forefathers, as you will, that helped to kind of generate the whole metal world. So we're fortunate. I'm happy to be where we are, and it would be. I'm so inept when it comes to technology. I'm a bonehead when it comes to that. So I would not be a good person to try to lead a new band these days. I would be making a lot of mistakes and counting on a lot of other people, because I don't have Facebook. I barely got a smartphone like maybe 2 years ago. So I'm just I still like using pencil lead, for writing stuff. I don't know. I'm probably it would be a tall order to have a new band for me these days. So I'm happy to be part of the 80s and be part of a band that has a strong history. And that being said, I think it's important to make a lot of music that sounds current. I don't want to be stuck in the 80s by any means, and I want to be something that is making music that sounds like the music that came out now. So I think that's really imperative.
What would be John Bush's legacy to the world in years and centuries to come?
I just think to be able to still do what I do is a major accomplishment. To still be able to make records, still be a band doing it, touring like Armored Saint has, even going to places like Manchester and Birmingham and Wales. I'm honored that some people still have an interest in seeing this band, and I think that says a lot after all these years. So I don't really think about where my place is and where Armored Saint's place is. I mean, I think that's for the fans and critics and those people to make those kind of determinations. But for me, I'm still stoked to be able to go play places that territories I love to go to. I love coming to the UK, and we're going to Ireland, and even though I played Dublin with Anthrax back in the day, Armored Saint never has. Very exciting. This is the home of Thin Lizzy and U2. To me, to be able to do those kind of things is super exciting, and I'm honored to still be able to do that. So I don't really think about it too much about where our place is and my place is. It's not really relevant.
Can you tell me why we should buy Carpe Noctum?
Oh, because it sounds like a great live record, and it sounds like what Armored Saint sounds like live, and super powerful, raw, not perfect, not flawless, which is what we aren't. We're a band that what you see is what you get. That might even mean some mistakes along the way, which I think is is welcoming at this point, where everything is so perfect. I think it's awesome to be a band that you never know what's going to sound like live. You just know that you're going to get something that feels like that night. So that's what this record sounds like. And if you wanted to be at an Armored Saint show and you couldn't, then this is the next best thing.
First one, small intimate gig or festival?
I'd say a small intimate gig.
Vinyl or digital?
Vinyl, that's not even a question you need to ask.
Thrash or sleaze metal?
Oh God, well, how about power metal?
Go for it. Heaven or hell?
How about limbo?
I like his answers. This one's conscientious, right? So, Trump or Putin?
Please don't ask me that question.
The last, fifth question. Pizza or beer?
Beer.
Do you have any final messages to your fans and our listeners?
Hey, number one is I'm sorry for the dropouts during our interview. I apologize for that, but I'm driving to a place that we're going snowboarding. I had my son ditch school today, and we're going, so I apologize for that, and hopefully it wasn't too annoying. Number two is thanks to all the fans through the years who stood by Armored Saint. We really appreciate it. Obviously, we can't do this without you, and we're excited to come do some shows other than London, which a lot of people have complained that that's the only place we played in the last couple of years in the UK. So we're coming to Manchester, we're coming to Birmingham, we're coming to Belfast, we're coming to Wales, we're doing some places we've never been. We're sorry we're not coming to Glasgow. I love Glasgow and playing shows there, and hopefully this is going to fulfill some people's thirst for Armored Saint. This is John Bush from Armored Saint, and you are listening to the Metal Gods Meltdown. So turn it up!
So let it be felt after me, shades of hell, I set them free, but the struggle to the land. It's too late now to turn the clock around. Frozen wild outside, so made my boldest bride. Are you with me out there? Time to mend. Your life begins. Pray for me.